Can you believe it's been 10 years?
It's been way longer than 10 years. Can you remember when we first met? Remember what your dream was? You told me your dream was? Do you remember?
Something about a school, yeah.
A school. Started in a Tiffany McGill school before we even knew about St. James. It was in your heart. And here we are, 10 years later.
Tell us a story about how and when you met Father Mullen.
Well, I was working for the diocese, and I would have a meeting with anybody, even Father Mullen. And he gave me a call and said that he wanted to show me this place, St. James. And so it was in November of 2008. We came up here, and he gave me a tour and started asking about if I thought that there was potential here for something. We started talking about a camp. And so we started city camp here in 2009.
And then I remember you introducing me to Father Mullen, and he fell in love with the Epiphany School in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and which is an Episcopal urban school just like St. James. And I remember he told you that, and you said something like...
I said, I know just the person you need to talk to.
Right.
And I introduced you to Father Mullen at that point in time and got the two of you talking.
And I remember Sean had the vision. He knew what needed to happen, and he needed the legs and the feet to get on the ground. And the camp, city camp, I think really helped launch the school that is today.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much that we learned through that. It was, one, we saw that this place was built for kids. From the size of the pews in the church to just the spaces outside, just kids everywhere, really showed us that this place was built for kids.
My first introduction to St. James Schools when Father Sean Mullen was dreaming and trying to come up with a plan for the school. And he told me his vision, and I thought it was wonderful for the use of the space, but also for the diocese to get behind such an important program of education and raising families up to a higher standard, a higher life.
When I first saw the campus, first of all, even in those days when things were a bit run down, you're struck by the beauty of the place and how it seems like a kind of an island in the midst of the city. And the church is gorgeous, and the churchyard, of course, with its gravestones and all the marvelous trees and the buildings across the street.
Well, there was a staff house where the staff could live, but be on site, but have their own space. There was a garden that the kids could work in, but we put in a hen house.
It just looked like a place that was made for ministry. Early on, the two of us took a trip by car up. We drove up to Boston together so that we could see the Epiphany School. That was a trip that clinched the plan in our minds. I think we just agreed that we could do this and that we needed to do this. We needed to start a school like that in Philadelphia.
And we could do it much better.
Well, of course we could. There was this great contrast between the obvious potential of this beautiful place and lovely buildings and the sense of abandonment that you couldn't escape. And that became even more clear when we began to talk with Rose Cooper and other people in the neighborhood association, the community association, because they were very clear that since the church had become empty and there was nothing happening there, it had created a hole in the middle of this community.
It felt real good to have a school back in the neighborhood. And St. James had did a lot with the school here, with the kids, bringing kids from other neighborhood across, Lehigh Avenue. And I just really appreciate the school being here.
And when I came for the first time, I was amazed at the actual physical plant. To have this church and the buildings, which were mostly set up for once a week Sunday school in its day, it was perfect for a school during the week. And my first visit to the school also involved being stuck in the hallway for about 10 minutes, as every child coming down the hallway stopped, put their feet together, put their hand out, welcomed me, told me their name, And then the next child came, put their feet together, welcomed me, put their hand out, looking in my eyes as my first impression of the kind of school that St. James was becoming.
So after graduating from graduate school in Southern Cal, I was driving home and I decided to read emails once I got home. I was reading this particular email about this group. It's called Notre Dame Mission Volunteers, and it's an AmeriCorps position. Decided to go ahead and reach out to Dave Kasievich, and he told me about the position here at St. James School. It was middle school, you'd be a co-teacher. What do you think about it? Funny thing about that is when I came on board, I flew here. It was a rainy day, opening day, and I actually thought I was gonna just get a tour of the school. The tour of the school was actually working about 10, 11 hours that day. So Dave Kasievich, he'll put you straight to work, and we went straight to work on day one as soon as I got off the plane, and it's been work and a pleasure ever since day one.
Sydney, when did we first learn about St. James School?
It was my 4th or 5th grade, when I was in 4th or 5th grade, and we went to the Kroc Center, and one of the teachers there, she was actually involved with Penn Charter, and she told us about this school called St. James. We were, a bit hesitant because it was their first year. And actually one of my friends attended St. James at the time. We my parents and I fell in love with the school. Me being younger, I was nervous and didn't want to leave my old friends, but I'm happy that that you and Daddy pushed me to go. I'm very thankful for it. So what do you remember about it more? Because Mom, you did more of the paperwork stuff, and you were my mom, so you did more of the mom stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, what I mostly remember about that time when we were looking for a school for you, we were in the school district of Philadelphia, and it was just we needed something different. So, we were a little hesitant about St. James because it was new. And once we saw the campus, got a view of the campus from Ms. Demery, the principal at the time, and it was just a beautiful setting. And we knew right then and there that was some place that you could actually thrive and you would, reach your full potential.
There are a lot of schools out there, and we all know that education is a great pathway to a greater life and a more effective and successful life. But St. James offers something more. As we're seeking to take care and to help grow the entire child, the whole child, as we're dealing with their faith life, whatever denomination or faith they're a part of, to understand that their spirituality is part of being a human being. The education has been fabulous. The cultural teachings have been great for our kids. And I love the fact that, and I think this is what makes St. James very different, is that it's, as David Kasievich has said, quoting one of the kids, St. James is forever. It's not just that you graduate in 8th grade and you're done. St. James is doing homework with the kids, helping follow the kids, helping them in college.
Mr. Todd, Miss Carol, Miss LaRue, Mr. Austin, they're always checking up on me, seeing if I'm okay, even now when I'm a sophomore in college. And I see them as my second family, and I know if I ever need anything, or if I ever need anything, I know to always go to them. What about you, Mom?
Well, like you, I figure that, I mostly feel when I think about everyone at St. James, sometimes it just brings me to tears, because I look at you and I look at all the things you've accomplished, and I say, if it was not for St. James being in our lives, where would you be at? And it just fills me with so much emotions and so much joy to see where you have come and where you have gotten at this point.
St. James' mission is, as a whole, we cater to the entire family. We love having the kids here, and that's our most important task, is teaching and educating our students. But we also draw the family into the whole mix, because without the family, this doesn't work. I feel that what St. James has done and continue to do, not just community involvement, but it's the family as a whole. I think that is why we're different from a lot of schools.
A lot of kids from the school, they graduated from the neighborhood. They did good, some of them in college. The kids are good here. They're learning. And that's the important thing, that they're learning to go on to high school.
I remember there was so much excitement for our first open house, and we were trying to recruit families. And so we had balloons, we had a big barbecue, and no one came. We all stood outside the red doors, and it was around 7:30 at night, and I said, no one is going to come. And our heads were down, and I said to a couple volunteers, let's go out, let's start walking the streets. And that night, we started walking the streets, knocking on doors, and saying hello to people and introducing ourselves. And that became the tradition for recruiting students at St. James, and we still do that today.
That's right.
We still recruit that way. So
Door to door.
yeah.
I think one of my most amusing experience was, of course, they wanted a Sunday service. If we had a church, why don't we give the neighborhood a service? Can't we have a choir? Well, yeah, we could help you. We could help you have a choir. Yes, we can. So we have a choir. Then they wanted a Saturday night service for the people who couldn't go on Sunday. Exploded like the biggest flower you can think around that grew up.
My first year, lunchtime was coming up, and I had no idea that our original 5th grade classroom, which is room 101, it was a classroom, but it is also the kitchen. And Laura Demery, who was our first principal here at St. James School, she was like, are you ready to make lunch? I'm like, sure, where are we going? Who's it coming from? She goes, no, we're actually gonna make peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm like, no, we're not. She goes, yeah, we are. For a week, for a month, for probably the first year, we made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to our 2015 class every day. It was smooth and chunky, great. But to be honest with you, that's probably where I fell in love with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, even today. And we talk about it, we laugh about it. But probably one of the memorable stories is, hey, what's for lunch? And it's peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we're making it every day, every year.
What was the happiest time in St. James? What is the fun, the most memorable thing you could ever think about at St. James?
I think it was my 8th grade, when I was in 8th grade at St. James. And like a lot of the boys in the class, they were always like bang on the desk and make beats and stuff. And the one that we made a St. James song. Like we all were like singing and like beatboxing, took a video of it. And I remember that so clearly because it was just like so much fun that we did that. And it was during the school day, and like Miss LaRue and Mr. Austin encouraged it. Like it was just like, they just encouraged that. And it was just like, I don't think I will ever like forget that, because it was a lot of fun doing it too. So that was a lot of fun. What about you, Mom?
Every 8th grade graduation, you guys get the book bags. They give out the traditional book bags, but you guys got that calculator. And I've never heard so much joy out of young adults just to get a calculator in my life. I mean, there were so many screams when they announced the calculator. What kind of calculator was that again?
I actually have it.
You still have it?
Yeah, I still have it to this day. I still have it. Yeah, it's a TI 84 Plus.
So our church, St. David's, has been very involved with volunteers and supporting the school. And I think the single most important change came when the board and the community decided not to grow into a middle school and high school, but to go to 4th grade. Because we capture those children younger for their reading capabilities and their math capabilities, and their socialization was such a brilliant move. And we've seen the results of that.
So we actually introduced our 4th grade class 2 years ago here at St. James School. And now we have a grad support that supports 80 plus kids that are graduates. And we also are starting an adult learning program.
So we've talked about the past and the past 10 years, but what about the next 10 years? What are some of your hopes and dreams for the school?
So my hope is that in the next 10 years, we'll see many graduates coming back as teachers, as chaplains, as as board members, and I hope there's a day when graduates are applying to become the head of school.
Mine would be having my child come back to St. James in some capacity as a teacher, as an administrator, anything at all, because my dream, my wildest dream, is to see you go back on that campus in some kind of capacity and continue the traditions of St. James School.
I think I will. I feel like my path would lead me back there. I'm pretty sure. I have really high hopes. Yeah. Mom, I hope in the future of just St. James, like being St. James, I really hope they go like all the way down to like kindergarten for grades. That would be really cool. Just like kindergarten through 8th grade. Even if they do get bigger, the feeling of community and love that school has stays the same.
Be sure you know they're okay. Be sure they know they're always welcome back. They can come back, do everything from have a meal, sleep an overnight if they have to. Certainly do their homework, because often there's nowhere to do homework. So come back, and there's plenty of space to do their homework. And then give them such a base, like I have, a base of love, Christianity, and take care of others as that you would have other people to take care of you.
The next 10 years, I'm hoping that you'll get a bigger school. You know, I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping to see the little ones that's coming up now will be able to come here. And I'm ready, since when you talk about a 3rd grade, I'm ready for my grandson because he's going to the 3rd grade. And I just look that the school going to bring a lot of people into the neighborhood. And I love it.
That's my hope, that the plant that we planted grows and flourishes, that other plants can be replicated from it. I think that would be a great gift for St. James to give to the city and to the world, just as we were given that gift from the church, from the Epiphany School, and from other schools in the Nativity Miguel network, to be able to be replicated, and for someone else to be able to plant something like we planted at St. James and see it grow, and for that to happen again and again and again.
And what I'm most excited about, and I think the biggest change that's coming our way, is that we don't quite have the size of facilities that we could have. So we're making plans and talking with people about providing more space for education for our kids. And I think that having that greater room will just make us a so much more effective school, not only for the children who are here, but for those kids who come back to the Husky Hideout and are doing their homework and continue to be part of the school's life. And having more space will allow us to do that. And in addition to the building, providing the right space, we're also building a legacy fund so that we have the financial foundation to continue through hard times, even like the ones we're in, for future generations. When all of us are long gone, we can look back and know that we helped build not only a spiritual and education and physical foundation, but a financial foundation for St. James to thrive for decades to come.
So a lot has changed, and the future is looking very, very bright for St. James. So happy 10 years, Andrew.
Happy 10 years, Dave.
I just want to say congratulations, St. James School. Congratulations to the Ridge Allegheny Hunting Park community for accepting St. James into the community. And hey, looking forward to the next 10 years.
Happy anniversary, St. James. I hope you guys have another 10 plus years. Thank you so much. I love this school to death.
Happy anniversary, St. James School. I'm so honored. I have been so honored, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of the first 10 years, and I'm wishing that I'll be a part of the next.
There have been a lot of hearts and minds that have helped build up the St. James School from this founding to this 10th anniversary. And I look forward to the next 10 years as we continue to grow and thrive, because who knows who God will help us become in the next 10 years.
I give you St. James School. And I wish for its growth and influence for the next 30 years. No, the next 50 years.
Cheers to St. James. Congratulations on the 10th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, St. James School. I'm glad for y'all to be here and hoping that you stay for 30 years or 40 years.